Hi everyone, thanks for coming back to Sealed for Good. Today we're talking about how to waterproof an underground area that's going to become a living area, so it'll become habitable. And this happens often now where we've got parts of Australia, particularly the big cities, where people are converting existing homes or buildings into areas to maximise their space. And often the logical one is using a basement or a cellar, or it could be an underground area, a garage that could be up against a earth wall, and you want to convert that into a living area, and you've got to control things like mold, because mold is becoming a big global issue. But it is a situation and a different challenge for waterproofers. Now, let's use the example that you've got an underground area, it's not leaking, but you need to take precaution to ensure that you stop the moisture vapor and dampness coming into that area, so you prevent things like mold and you can have a nice, clean, healthy area. So firstly, you need to analyse the wall structure and what the floor is. So logically it would be a concrete slab base. However, the walls could be block, they could be poured concrete, it could be shotcrete. Now, whether it's been waterproofed previously or not, you should treat the internal area separately. And you need something that can handle negative hydrostatic pressure. Now, again, even though you may not have any leaking or dampness coming through, you can't use flexible systems on an underground wall where you want high negative resistance, negative hydrostatic resistance, I should say. So important to understand on what it is you are using. So let's look at products like our Gripset E60 and epoxy. We may use that on that wall, but it may require preparation first. If it's a block wall, you may need to give it a skim coat or a render coat first with something like our 11Y render into our seabed, and then you'd put the epoxy down onto the wall. And how you structure the walls, you shouldn't be putting linings. I mean, you may want to paint those walls, but if you are going to put a lining which creates an air gap, and it's a sensible way to go about it, you're going to batten the wall out, you don't screw the battens through the wall. So you need to use a high strength adhesive, something like our Gripset SB, or a structural adhesive that's compatible with that coating like the E60, and you're not penetrating the wall surface. And then once the battens are down, you can then line it with your linings and continue on. Now, what are you doing at the wall floor junctions? Well, you need to take those precautions as well. And this is not a situation where you use something like our elastic-proof joint band, because that's a flexible system. We need to use something that's got resistance. So we'd use potentially a water plug fillet, or you could use a fillet like the 11Y DM, or you may have something else that can handle hydrostatic pressure at that junction. But important to take attention to how that junction is sealed and waterproofed. And depending on what the gap is there, don't go and treat everything the same way you may have done before. If you need advice, ask the questions. You can give us a call or shoot a photo through and we'll have a look at it for you. And then you need to tackle that floor space. And this is all about planning it out beforehand. I'm talking about how you may convert or waterproof an underground area to turn it into a living area or habitable, but it's important that you've planned this out first. So what sort of flooring system are you going to have? Again, you may not have a dampness or an efflorescence issue on the concrete slab now, but that's not to say you will have one later. So you need to have something that's going to act as a vapor barrier, a total seal on the floor before you put your floor finish down. And if you're going to use ceramic tiles as your finish, or you may even use an epoxy floor finish or a hard wearing coating, or if you're going down the path and want carpets in there, you want to be 100% certain that you've blocked out every chance of any vapor coming into those carpets, so you avoid that mold and mildew situation. So a vapor barrier primer, a waterproofing system that does not breathe on the floor, really important. And the other thing you need to look at is, have you checked first about your council approvals? You need to go through that part, because you are now, different shires and councils around Australia will have different requirements on what you do there, and depending on what the extent of the works are, always pays to check with the council first to make sure you are complying. If you've got a situation that you actually have got moisture and dampness in that underground area, before you even think about what you're going to do, you need to get a consultant in. You need to get a waterproofing consultant or a building consultant that can have a look at it and make a call on what is required, because you need to channel that dampness away and that moisture away from that area before you even consider any of the different products you may want to use. And there's a multitude of products out in the marketplace that are really good for these applications, but it's how you select them and understand what they are first. And just like waterproofing a balcony or a roof or a bathroom, you do your homework first, you do your due diligence, ensure you know exactly what it is you're up for, the type of structure, type of walling, and what's the ventilation as well, because that's an important part of how you're going to convert these areas into living areas. If you've got any questions on this, please give our 1-800-650-435 Tech Inquiries a call or send us a message through. And we'd love to see some shots of your jobs where you've converted these, because this is an application which we're seeing more inquiries of around the country, particularly in residential, but we see some commercial old warehouses and old structures that are being converted over to either even convert them into office spaces. It's an opportunity in the big cities. Don't miss out on it. I'll see you next time on Sealed for Good.